Yo guys, what's going on? It's Sims Gaming, and welcome to the Death of Battle for Neighborville Part 2. This is the unfortunate series where we go over some of the issues with Battle for Neighborville and the trends that could ultimately lead to its demise. With that all being said, obviously, if you have not watched Part 1, it's kind of important that you watch Part 1, so link for that will be in the description. So before we begin, I wanted to give a little bit of background on these videos. The original Death of Battle for Neighborville video was actually not supposed to be about bots, it was supposed to be about Battle Arena. Now, I could go on and on talking about all of the problems associated with Battle Arena. I even made a video on the top 5 worst problems with it months ago, and to this date, I don't know if any of those problems have been solved. As a matter of fact, I think more problems have been introduced. However, I am actually not going to rant about Battle Arena today, and this is because I have heard that there are some upcoming patches that are supposed to fix some of Battle for Neighborville's problems. Don't quote me on that, this is just what I've been hearing, and we also got the outline for the next few prize maps and festivals, which seem fairly promising. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay off on doing any more harsh critiquing of issues with Battle for Neighborville until we get some of those patches rolling through. I'll give the developers a chance to fix the game a little bit, and if there are still problems after the next couple patches, then we will return to the ranty type videos where I explain what's wrong with the game. So with that all being said, what are we actually covering today? Well, today's video is all thanks to you guys. My first video had tons and tons of responses. As a matter of fact, I have gotten more comments on that video than any of my other videos before. We have over 600 comments expressing concerns or ideas regarding the future for Battle for Neighborville. So today what I'm going to do is I actually never responded to any of those comments. I didn't heart any of them. That was purposeful. I didn't really want to get directly involved in arguments in the comment section. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to address some of those comments anonymously today, because if we can keep this discussion alive, then hopefully the developers can hear our feedback and implement some of these changes into the game, because let's be honest guys, I want this game saved. I want to be playing this game for much, much longer, many more months and years to come. So let's see if we can actually make a change. That is going to wrap up this extremely lengthy intro, so grab your lawn chairs, sit back, relax, because you're watching Sims Gaming. So the first comment I want to address says, Battle for Neighborville is not dying. PopCap developers have to work from home because of COVID and they have to communicate online, which makes it harder, but Battle for Neighborville is not dying. So this comment is actually encompassing of two types of comments that I've been getting quite a lot. The first one is that Battle for Neighborville is not dead or dying, and the second being that PopCap is just struggling because of the pandemic. As far as the first one, I want to be clear that when people are accusing me of saying the game is dead or the game is gonna die, this is not necessarily true. I would agree that the game is not dead and the game's not going to die. Instead, you have to understand that the title of the video, The Death of Battle for Neighborville, is not referring to the fact that it is dying currently, but instead we are just analyzing the trends that, if they continue, will lead to the death of Battle for Neighborville. That is the purpose of these videos. We are trying to figure out what is currently going wrong with the game, and if these things continue to go wrong and get worse, then the game will be dead. So, no, I am not saying the game is currently dead. I'm not saying stop playing the game. Instead, we're just trying to figure out what's wrong and figure out how to make it better. Regards to the other point, which is another comment I got a lot about how the developers are struggling with the pandemic. Now, this could definitely be true, and if you don't have a very good online collaboration system set up, you could definitely be struggling. However, with that being said, we are currently in a time period where video games are extremely popular. There are way more people at home playing video games than any other time. This is the time to make a good game and keep your game up, and I think comparing Battle for Neighborville to other games in the industry who are constantly releasing updates and fresh content and keeping their games running, I don't know if I can make the argument that in saying, oh, well, the developers are just struggling, we can give them a pass because it's a pandemic. Because other members of the industry and other games are not having the same issues. Now, maybe Battle for Neighborville has an extremely small team. Well, get more people on the team. Tell EA, if they're the big boss, to sauce some more workers on that team, because if you want to make this game good, you're going to have to release content at a greater rate and essentially fix bugs at a greater rate as well. So the next comment that I saw quite a lot was that they need to add crossplay in Battle for Neighborville. First off, I want to say that this comment contradicts the pandemic comment, because in this case, we're saying, hey, the other players in the industry have crossplay, Battle for Neighborville therefore should have crossplay. Whereas if we're saying, hey, the other members of the industry during the pandemic are constantly putting out new content to spur their game, Battle for Neighborville shouldn't be obligated to do that. That doesn't make any sense. But anyways, back to the crossplay. I agree that it definitely should have crossplay, and I think that crossplay can fix a lot of issues as far as the relatively small player base. This would prevent the bot problem to some extent. If we could fill lobbies a lot better, then the bots won't be showing up, and maybe that would encourage more players to join. However, I do not know how difficult it is to implement crossplay into a game. I mean, we're faced with a game that already has a lot of bugs and problems which can't seem to be fixed by the regular development team. So maybe they're just holding out to add crossplay in, but the game did not release with crossplay originally, and crossplay had existed prior to the game's release. So it makes me wonder if this is something we'll ever actually see. While I do agree that it would fix quite a few problems, it may be something that is too much to handle. So the next comment is something that I see a lot as well, and it says, it's sad that the game's priority is Rux over game content. And this is something I 100% agree with. Although we don't see fixes for really bad game bugs or problems or additions of DLC, maybe for the PvE environments or new maps and stuff like that, while that type of content is relatively rare, the one thing you can count on in this game is the constant addition of character cosmetics, whether those are directly purchasable within Rux or if those are a bunch of cosmetic items within the prize map. I mean, not every prize map even has a legendary upgrade and rarely ever has a new character. So this is just, it's kind of clear as a consumer that the developers are almost prioritizing these items that can be bought, so these microtransactions, over the physical game content. And my problem with this is that why would I buy a character skin to use in a game that doesn't even work well? And the final comment that I want to address today says they could just pretend that Battle for Neighborville never existed and make a Garden Warfare 3 with the variants. This is a comment that I've seen surprisingly often, and my response to this is I don't think that this is a good idea. I understand where people are coming from. They think that no variants ruin the game, and while obviously having no variants is going to make the game a little more stale, I think that there still was plenty of opportunity to make this game great. And majority of the problems that I have with Battle for Neighborville don't revolve over things like lack of variants. Instead, they revolve around core mechanics of the game just not functioning properly or not being very intuitive. You have the bot problem, you have the lack of players in lobby problem, you have the slew of battle arena problems, you have the empty rewardotron problem, you have the PvE environments, which are absolutely fantastic, and I love them so much, but they have not gotten any new content in almost a year. You have that problem. There are so many problems that aren't exclusive to variants that who's to say if they made a Garden Warfare 3 at this moment, right now, in time, that it wouldn't have these same exact problems. I would rather have all of Battle for Neighborville's problems fixed and have the game brought to its fullest potential than have it scrapped for a Garden Warfare 3 game. But anyways, guys, a lot of these things are my opinions or my personal takes on these issues. I want to give a huge thank you to everybody in the community for participating in this miniature event, going over all of these problems. You guys have been great. I have absolutely loved reading all of your feedback, and I have enjoyed reading all of the conversations that weren't harsh or mean. But with that being said, Thank you guys again for watching this video. I think that this is an extremely important discussion that we need to keep up, because if we can keep this discussion alive, then the game will get better, the game will improve. But as soon as things start to fall apart, as soon as the conversations die down, and as soon as people start forgetting about Battle for Neighborville, then, well, the lights will go out.